are officially 0%.
Oh my gosh.
KRZLE.
Yeah. Charles. Yeah.
Burt Reynolds pulls out a banana and
Yes,
starts
that's
peeling
right.
it.
Butterfly kisses.
Oh my god. Hey, fuck these drums.
The synopsis just isn't good. Oh my god. Okay. And on that note.
Welcome to What Was That Called Again? I'm Thomas.
I'm Will.
And this is a movie game show where I select 3 movies and read their IMDb plot descriptions to Will, who then has to try to match the plot description with the correct title. And then afterwards, he tries to guess the ranking of the 3 movies based on their IMDb star ratings. And let's see, last week, our episode devolved into chaos there toward the end.
Did it go bananas?
It potentially delivered real gold. I don't know. I don't think we're really ones to say or not, but
I think we are ones to say, and I think it was brilliant. I think that show.
I think so too.
Not only did I do okay, I didn't really do okay, but let's just say I did okay with the actual premise of the game. But I also think that our spindrift into bananadom was brilliant. So I'm hoping we can have a repeat, maybe a different fruit this week.
Yeah. We're gonna go oranges this time. We'll see what happens.
You're calling out already. You're gonna predict it. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Alrighty.
Aren't you glad I didn't say banana as the title of this episode? Okay, no, it's not. All right, I'm ready. We're gonna get right into it this week.
All right, we'll see how ready you are.
No, not ready at all, actually.
Your first film this week is going to come from the year 1977.
Ooh, I thought you were going to say 1917 for a second. I was like, holy shit, it's like pre-cinema. Okay, 1977. Okay, yeah. All right.
Your plot description reads as follows. A battle for survival ensues after a group of hikers encounter a chemically imbalanced forest.
What? Oh, okay. So a battle for survival ensues after a group of hikers encounter a chemically enhanced forest?
Imbalanced.
Oh, chemically imbalanced forest. Not force. Forest, right?
That's correct.
Like trees. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Say that one again. I got it, but I just want to hear it. That sounds so crazy.
A battle for survival ensues after a group of hikers encounters a chemically imbalanced forest.
Chemically imbalanced forest. So that implies that most forests are chemically balanced forests. That this one is the exception, and because of that imbalance, there's some kind of struggle for survival after encountering it. Okay, 1977, already off to a rocket start.
Yes. Your second title is going to come from the year 1981, or synopsis, not title. From the year 1981. And the synopsis from IMDb reads as follows. I'm assuming...
Pause. For the listener, Thomas said the synopsis reads as follows, and then he looked at his page with his notes on it and gave the most confused facial expression ever. So even this synopsis is already playing games with us.
I'm assuming the word is naturalist? Naturalist?
Okay.
Is it I don't know. Naturalist? A naturalist living with big cats in East Africa expects a visit by his family of 4 from Chicago. A mix-up leaves him searching for his family who have been left in the clutches of wild lions.
So isn't a naturalist like another term for a nudist? I think it is. I think it's like living naturally without man-made things. So it'd be without clothes, without
perhaps
that kind of stuff.
I'll say that I have seen this, and
this does sound familiar.
Not nudity. I've seen all 3 of these this week.
Okay, but this also does sound familiar to me. So say this again. 1981.
Yeah.
A naturalist
living with big cats in East Africa expects a visit from his family of 4 from Chicago. A mix-up leaves him searching for his family who have been left in the clutches of wild lions.
His family has been left in the clutches of wild lions. Okay. So there's some kind of mix-up Naturalist. Okay, they're coming from Chicago.
Yep.
Okay, so I
The
expect
big city.
there to either be Macaulay Culkin, or John Candy, or Dan Aykroyd in this movie.
This prequel to Uncle Buck.
This is Uncle Buck Wild.
Uncle Buck Africa.
Uncle Buck Africa. Okay, 1981. All right, next.
Your final one is going to come from the year 1984.
Oh, okay.
And the synopsis reads as follows. The water supply for a large city zoo becomes contaminated with PCP, and the animals go crazy and get loose.
Oh, crazy. Crazy and get loose. PCP of all things. Okay, so there's a theme here. I feel as though there's some kind of nature animal, some kind of, Mother Nature aspect to all these, right? But also Mother Nature maybe gone wild or gone awry because of man's influence. Okay, let me try to recap these. So the first one was 1977. There was hold on. It's a struggle to survive. A group of hikers, struggling to survive or a battle to survive after a group of hikers encounters chemically imbalanced forest.
Yeah.
Roughly? Okay. The second one was 1981, and it was a naturalist living in Africa with big cats is expecting his family of 4 from Chicago to visit him. During their trip, something happens. There's a mix-up, and they end up basically living with wild cats.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last one was 84, and it was a zoo, did you say?
Yep, a water supply for a large city.
Oh,
zoo.
yeah. Okay, a water supply for a large city zoo becomes contaminated or whatever with PCP, and the animals go wild and break free.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I mean, the first one doesn't sound like a comedy. I don't think, at least. But the other two definitely sound like they have like comedy elements to them. I guess maybe the drugged animals at the zoo, PCP, could be maybe a thriller too. But the middle one definitely sounds like a fucking like early 80s comedy. So I'm going to stick with that one, with that mindset whenever these titles come up. Okay, I think I'm ready for the titles.
All right, if you say so.
Well, I've said so before, and I've been wrong. So
your first title this week is going to be The Wild Beasts.
Oh man, that sounds familiar. See, okay, so you said you've seen all of these.
Yeah.
The naturalist with the big cat one. It does. I know I say this every week, which is why I didn't say this when you first said it, but I'm going to say it anyway. That did sound familiar. I think maybe I've seen that one. Wild Beast. That also sounds really familiar to me. Okay, Wild Beast. Go ahead and give me the other two.
Your next title is going to be Day of the Animals.
Oh, Day of the Animals. Okay, so Wild Beast and Day of the Animals. The first synopsis strictly says chemically imbalanced forest.
Yeah.
But does that also include the fauna of the forest? Okay, third one.
Your final title, in post, I'm going to need to cut in the voice from the trailer. Roar.
Roar. Oh, okay. All right. I think I know that one. I think I know that one. I think I've seen clips of that one. I know enough about that movie. I wouldn't call it a comedy, but but I do believe there are big cats involved with that one and a naturalist. Okay. So, but I mean, you could be fucking with me too. That's a possibility. But I really think I know that one is. I'm pretty sure Roar does not have to do with the big city zoo's water supply and PCP. I'm also pretty sure Roar does not have anything to do with the forest. There are big cats. It has a crazy behind the scenes story, which I hope if our listeners don't know, I hope you do give some information on this story. But now the other two, Wild Beasts and what was the first one again?
The other one was Day of the Animals.
Day of the Animals. Day of the Animals. So these are still all animal related. But the first one you said chemically imbalanced forest. So is Wild Beast the zoo one? And like they're saying like these are wild beasts, and now they're wild beast on drugs.
This is your wild beast. This is your wild beast on drugs.
Any questions? yeah, exactly. Or are they saying with the title? You said Day of the Animals?
Yes.
Okay, so Day of the Animals is like all these fucking animals got out and they're having a fucking good time. They're high as shit on PCP, and they're just going crazy, ripping cars apart. This is the Day of the Animals, which would leave wild beasts for the chemically imbalanced forest. Chemically imbalanced forest. So that just doesn't make any sense at all, unless it's like some kind of military experiment where they dropped chemicals on the forest, like either intentionally to test things or accidentally, kind of like the crazies, and like the chemicals got in, like spread around, and like fucking shit went crazy in the forest, and these hikers just didn't know about it. So is that Wild Beast? Day of the Animals. Okay, I'm feeling pretty confident that Roar is the I forgot the date. I think you said 1981.
Yeah.
Naturalist living with big cats who's expecting his family of 4 from Chicago, and because of a mishap, the family is now living with wild cats. I'm pretty confident that's Roar.
Roar.
So that leaves me. And I hate when you almost done this intentionally. I think you almost done this to make me get one right, and then have to figure out the other two. So I don't want to just do a coin flip, but is it just going to be Day of the Animals? Day of the Animals.
Do the trailer.
Yeah, I'm picturing the trailer. So the Day of the Animals. Let's see here. It starts like there's like this these bucolic scenes of a zoo, right? And there's this school bus with like like 5th graders or 4th graders that pulls up, and like everyone gets off, and there's like a teacher, like a chaperone, shuttling all that stuff, and then like the voiceover comes in and it says something like, what was supposed to be a peaceful day at the zoo becomes, and then it's like smash cut to like a lion like lapping up some water, and then like a cut to like some scientist or whatever, or maybe it's even like a druggie just being like, man, I poured my PCP in the water supply, or something. We find out anyway that the water's drugged, and then it cuts back to Day of the Animals, and it's just like fucking like lion going crazy and just like ripping apart. Yeah. Okay. So I think maybe that one's it. I've sold myself on that. Okay. So that leaves 1977. So 1977, in a struggling to survive after a group of hikers encounters a chemically imbalanced forest. I want to call that one, was it Wild Beasts?
The Wild Beasts. Yeah.
The Wild Beast. Okay, so the Wild Beast is that one. Roar is the 1981 naturalist living with big cats, family from Chicago, mishap, and they live with cats now. And then that leaves the 1984 big city water supply for zoo is drugged with PCP, and animals go crazy and escape as Day of the Animals.
Alrighty. You did pretty good. You got one right.
Oh my god. You son. What? I want both of those movies to officially switch their title because I think I made a better trailer. All right, so I have to roar. I have to stick with roar. There's no, I can't imagine. If I'm wrong about roar, then I need to go seek medical help because my mind is much more deteriorated than what I thought it was. So I'm sticking with roar as it is. So I'm just going to have to flip the other two. So I'm going to say the hiking one, trying to survive in the chemically imbalanced forest, is Day of the Animals, even though I think my trailer sounds cool. And I'm going to go with the 1984 Big City Water Supply is poisoned and the zoo animals go crazy as Wild Beasts. Final answer.
All right. Apologies to the listener if it's annoying. I'm probably going to cut in the trailer voice roar every time it's said.
This is the ninth. Drink every time, folks. Drink every time. Even if you're driving.
With that flip-flop, you got 0 out of 3 correct. I'm just kidding. You got.
I'm going to say there's no way. There's no way I got that wrong. All right. Okay. Well, let's hear some information.
All right. Day of the Animals from 1977 is from director William Girdler, who, if I'm not mistaken, famously directed the film Grizzly. He did a handful of lower budget, kind of, some might say, schlocky horror films back in the day. He is kind of respected in that regard amongst people who are fans of those movies, I suppose.
If you like them, you like them, is what Thomas is saying.
The Day of the Animals, there's like no excuse to not watch it. It's available like anywhere. Free with ads. It is on Plex.
I'm actually watching it right now.
Tubi, Pluto, Freevee, and without ads, if you're subscribed to Shudder, it is on Shudder at the time of recording as well.
But you should support Plex as the non-official sponsor of, what was that called again?
Yes, I agree. I'll save Roar for last. The Wild Beasts from 1984 from director whose name I'm going to probably butcher, but that's fine. Italian director Franco Prosperi, who is known probably most notably for co-directing the films Mondo Cane and
Sounds familiar.
Goodbye Uncle Tom, which just got a 4K release from Blue Underground at the time of recording. So Wild Beasts, if you're not into animal cruelty, don't seek it out. It is Italian. It is.
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say?
These guys.
Italians push boundaries in film?
A little back in the day, yes.
Cannibal Holocaust.
That is one.
Okay.
Which has some not very animal-friendly moments. This movie also has a tiger who, if I recall correctly,
did they actually drug the animals?
Okay.
Is that what you're saying?
There is a tiger. No, but there is a tiger that does get...
That was a long delay. I was like, holy shit, are you saying they drug the animals?
No. There is a tiger that does get drugged, though, on screen, and it falls over and begins seizing. And that is incredibly difficult to see. Yes.
Oh, gosh.
And
but wait, wait, hold on. So wait, whenever you say drugged, do you mean like with the plot drug, or
with
do you mean
syringe?
like tranquilized?
No, like a tranquilizer.
Okay.
And then there is that, but that one was, I thought, the most difficult thing to see in the movie. It's not long, it's very brief, but it's
long enough. It's too long. Yeah.
And then there are many rats that get flamethrower torched.
Oh my god! Wait, I'm back in. That just sounds insane. I don't want to hurt rats either, but that just sounds crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, and there are actual animals running wild, running loose in the streets of, I believe, New York is where it was shot, for real. And there is a story that I read about where they actually did, like, one of the cats, I don't remember if it was a tiger or a lion or something, that actually got loose from the production in the subway.
What? Oh my god.
Yes.
But wait, hold on. Because how did they even like get this permitted?
I do not have that information.
No, I want to know. Contact New York Film Department right now. That's crazy. So they really like let these. I'm assuming that they were trained.
This is directly from the IMDb trivia. I found the sequence with the tiger in the subway tunnel was shot from 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. in the morning. The tiger got loose in the subway station and hid in a bathroom before deciding to go on top of a train. Subway station employees were prevented from entering the station until the tiger was finally caught.
Holy shit. I hope they at least like rolled camera on that, because that's like free footage that you're getting of this tiger just being hard to, like it's on top of a train. That's insane.
Antonio DeLeo was almost decapitated by the polar bear in the scene where the bear swings one of its paws at him, narrowly missing his head.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Italians, man. They're great with their ideas.
On top of being flamethrower torched, the rats also were painted black. So there's that, because they were actually white.
Come on.
They treated the rats pretty well.
Oh my god! Like the flamethrower torch is bad enough, but also, that's horrible. Really, it is.
And
but the fact that they had to paint individually every rat black just because they couldn't find black rats. They found mice, is what they found. That's what they found, and then they painted them black to look like rats. Oh my gosh!
Let me also correct. No, this movie was not shot in New York City. Probably, there's no way they would have gotten the
there's no way.
So the film was shot according to the IMDb locations. So take that as you will. It was allegedly shot in Germany. There was a portion on a airport runway where these elephants run wild that was shot in South Africa.
Oh my gosh.
Other portions of it were shot in Italy. It says Tiger and Subway was in Italy. Rome, to be specific.
So they went all over the place just to shoot animals going crazy.
Yes. We did rent that because we are an animal household here. And while we were well aware of things happening to animals that were not very pleasant for the animals, we still powered through to watch it.
You didn't see. You're right. You didn't seek it out to see the cruelty. Right.
Ooh, no. I'm very, very not into that. And in fact, going back to last week, whenever I mentioned watching Wake and Fright, I actually, during the kangaroo hunting scenes, I had explained that it was actual footage from kangaroo hunting that they use in the movie, if you recall.
Yes.
Whenever they started going out kangaroo hunting, I actually looked away from the screen and waited until they were done, because I did not want to see kangaroos getting shot and run over and stuff. Yeah, but still, even while looking away, what I saw was not very pleasant still, as far as those kangaroo scenes. But so that's Wild Beasts. Pretty wild, one might say.
Yeah, you might say.
However, it is nothing compared to... Is it available
anywhere? Sorry, is it? Did you say...
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Wild Beasts you can rent for, I think, either $1 or $2 on Amazon Prime right now. It is available to rent. It is not streaming, readily available. It might be on YouTube. I didn't look, but you can rent it for a couple bucks. It is worth watching.
If you would even want to. Yeah, it is? Okay.
I'd say it was worth watching, yes, even as someone who's firmly against animal cruelty.
So minus the flamethrower rats and minus the tranquilized big
seizure
cat.
tiger. Yep.
Yeah. Is there like how much does it get more cruel than that anywhere else, or is it just like craziness?
No, and in all honesty, in my opinion, the seizure tiger, which I recall reading, the tiger was fine in the end. But the seizure bit, that's what they always say. The toughest part to watch. That was not pleasant. But the rest of it, to my knowledge, there were not any animals that were harmed aside from the rats that got torched.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Torched and painted. Painted, by the way.
And painted, yeah. Which, who knows, maybe they just dipped them in a can of paint. Maybe they paintbrushed them. Either way.
I don't even want to know how they did it.
No.
Because no matter what method they chose, it was not the right method.
They're Italian, so they...
What are you trying to say?
Moving along to Roar.
Roar! You know, some famous artisans are Italian, Thomas. They know how to work a paintbrush.
Yeah, that's true. Roar from 1981.
Roar!
You're a listener who is unfamiliar with this movie. This is a very infamous film, not for necessarily the plot, but the behind the scenes,
Yes.
which
I
in
think,
turn makes it onto the screen in the final film as well.
it does. So I've not seen this movie, most because I'm really not interested in watching this movie, just because of what I know happens. But I've seen an incredible amount of behind the scenes of this movie, so I've basically seen a good chunk of the movie. And holy shit, if you don't know anything about Roar, one, where have you been? But two, this is nuts.
Yeah, so there were no animals that were harmed due to the nature of filming the movie. However, there were animals that I believe died while on location. I believe there was like a really bad storm and there was a bad flood. And I believe that the crew of the film and or the handlers of the animals were unable to save all of the animals from the flood. And I believe that there were animals that died as a result of a flood.
I think we can officially still blame the movie, though. Because if those animals were not on location at the site in the first place, if they were just fucking animals and allowed to do animal things, they would have themselves figured out how to get out of a flood. Yeah.
Yes. So this movie, again, came out in 1981, but it was shot, I believe it was shot over the course of multiple years. I think it was shot over like 5 or 6 years. And filming commenced in 1974.
Oh wow, a decade.
Almost 10. Yes,
it was
about
it was
7
the Mad
years.
Max of its time.
Right. Yeah, 7 years before the movie came out, it began filming. Famously,
why did it take so long, Thomas? Why? Tell us.
Well, there were some issues during filming involving the truly wild African animals that the
Did they use real big cats or were they puppets?
I'm glad you asked, Will. They were in fact real big cats.
Were they trained?
I don't believe so.
Barely?
Nor were they stunt people that were working with them on screen. It was the actual cast, which is led by prominent actress Tippi Hedren and her daughter Melanie Griffith. And director / co-writer of the film Noel Marshall also takes part. So at least while being the director, he wasn't just like, it's not my problem. he was dealing with it too.
Must be acting, folks. Act. Yeah.
The movie is shot by cinematographer at the time, hadn't directed yet, Jan de Bont, who would of course go on to direct little motion pictures from the 90s called Twister and Speed. But back
Two
here,
greatest movies ever made.
He was just a simple cinematographer who was nearly getting scalped by a lion, requiring over 120 stitches.
Oh, only 120.
And then he did, afterwards, still return to the production to complete his role as cinematographer. Melanie Griffith was mauled by a lion during filming and required plastic surgery. She received reportedly 50 stitches to her face. It was feared she would lose an eye, but she recovered and was not disfigured. That's always good to know, whenever your actress recovers and is not disfigured. And on a separate occasion, a lion grabbed her hair and would not let go, and that is actually in the film. You can see that in the motion picture itself.
And here, just to remind everyone listening, this didn't take place over the course of a 20-day shoot. This was years of shooting this film. These things happened, and they kept going.
Yep. They're like, well, it'll be worth it.
We got to finish it now, folks. We've already started.
Noel Marshall, the director, co-writer, and co-star of the film, was attacked by wildcats so many times during production that he eventually developed gangrene. This says, allegedly, in one incident, he was clawed by a cheetah while protecting the animals during a bushfire in 1979. All of the animals were evacuated. It took several years for him to recover from his injuries.
And he still went back to shoot after he recovered from his injuries.
You imagine everybody coming back onto set, like shaking, just like, all right,
I'm ready.
action.
I didn't lose my eye last time.
You can, for those of you who do not want to take part in watching this full motion picture,
how long is it, by the way?
Runs at a fairly lean 95 minutes.
95 minutes of people getting attacked by wild
Pretty
animals.
much, it is
camera.
pretty much 95 minutes of terror in a film that is not a horror film. It is not meant to be a scary.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is that like right? Like so, like the big cats are not portrayed as like ravenous beast of the wild or whatever.
PCP going
wild. You're right. Right. They're supposed to be living with them. Like it's supposed to be kind of like this symbiotic relationship between man and nature or whatever in this naturalist setting. And it's like, yeah, there's a reason why fucking man doesn't live with a big cat anymore. It's like you're lower on the food chain, buddy.
Yes, so you can find many clips. You can find like compilations, pretty much, of the animal terror that the cast and crew were subjected to on YouTube, which is also where you can watch the full film. That is where I saw it. Maybe a year or two ago, I finally watched the whole thing. It's on YouTube in its entirety because it is not currently available to stream or rent anywhere at the moment. But I think there was a Draft House Films Blu-ray that came out a few years ago. That looked like a pretty good transfer, but I'll probably never see it. Truly wild films, no pun intended. Day of the Animals, I did want to mention really quick, one quick note on that one. It does have Leslie Nielsen in it, in a non-comedic role. And what causes the animals in that, or the imbalance to the forest, as the synopsis says, what makes the animals go crazy is it's one of these mid to late 70s preachy environmental films. So the depletion of the ozone layer is what triggers animals to go wild.
Is this like Birdemic before Birdemic existed?
Right.
Holy cow.
So it's like, it's explained as, you hear it over the radio, I think. The depletion of the ozone layer is causing animals that are above a specific elevation to go crazy and like start attacking everything.
Wow. So this is this is going to be a weird tangent. But and maybe we can cut it for time. But I don't know if you've heard this or not. But The Happening, M. Night Shyamalan. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't like that movie. They think that it's cheesy, it's corny, it's bad acting, this, that, and the other. I heard that, I don't know if this was publicized at the time, maybe it was and I just didn't know about it, but I heard recently that The Happening was actually M. Night's version of the really cheesy, bad 1950s sci-fi films.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I've heard that, yeah.
You saying this about like, this sort of like environmental message, but it's also about, this like, horrific things happen because nature's changing. It's like, man, that also sounds kind of like The Happening. Again, Birdemic. There's like this weird genre of films out there where it's like, messing with Mother Nature is kind of like the underlying thing, and then here's what happens whenever you do that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting that it goes even further back than just cheesy Birdemic.
One of my favorite examples is the 1979 film Prophecy, not to be confused with The Prophecy starring Christopher Walken. But
I did just confuse those two. I was like, what?
The better Prophecy film is just called Prophecy from 1979, about a mutant bear monster attacking people. It is not a great movie, but I genuinely love that. I think it's fantastic. I love that movie.
It's entertaining. Okay.
But yes, Day of the Animals, for anyone who is really, really just wanting to just be sold on Day of the Animals, you can go to YouTube and you can watch this clip from the movie where shirtless Leslie Nielsen wrestles a bear.
Now, okay, so I also want to go on this tangent too, because most of our listeners will probably only be familiar with Leslie Nielsen as the comedic
Right.
genius he was later in life. But he had a very long run as the leading straight man.
Poseidon Adventure.
Yes, exactly. So, I recommend not even for the shirtless version of him or the craziness that happens in this film, but if you just want to see more like straight man Leslie Nielsen, which is actually pretty decent sometimes. It's weird if all you're used to is like because you're just waiting. You're waiting for him to make a pun. You're waiting for him to make like a cheesy remark, and he doesn't. He just plays it straight, and it's really interesting to see him have that range that most people aren't used to.
Yeah, spoiler alert, Leslie Nielsen is not a good guy in this movie. He is a very unpleasant character, actually, but he...
And shirtless. He's a dark Nielsen.
It's very... It's unintentionally funny. Not his performance. He's honestly giving like a really interesting dramatic performance, but just the scenario of it is just so
absurd,
ridiculous and absurd. Yes, where he is like literally attempting to rape this girl.
Oh my
god! And this bear comes up and it's pouring rain. The bear's
the hero,
and Leslie Nielsen immediately, without hesitation, just goes up and starts wrestling with
Holy shit!
And so there's these shots where it cuts between closer up and wider shots where it's like a real bear, and then another shot it's very clearly a person in a costume that's like wrestling with him. It is amazing.
Okay,
it's fantastic.
And you said, is the whole thing on YouTube, or did you say just that clip was on YouTube?
Oh no, Day of the Animals. I was just referencing that clip. You can you can just type in like Leslie Nielsen wrestles a bear or something, and you can find it. But the whole movie,
50 hits.
Definitely worth watching the entire movie. It is
sounds like it.
Again, free with ads on Freevee, Pluto, Tubi, Plex. Free without or included with subscription to Shudder, without ads, of course.
And this is the one movie, from what it sounds like, where there's maybe no animal cruelty. Of these three,
yeah, I've never read about any animal cruelty on Day of the Animals. I don't think there is any, not to my knowledge.
Okay. Plus,
definitely nothing on screen that you see where you're like, oh, well, they shouldn't be doing that to animals.
Right, yeah.
From what I can remember.
I'm just going off of if there's a guy in a bear suit, they probably didn't let the actual real animals get too close to the set. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
All right. Well, that's fun. This is going to be really hard to rank these.
Yes.
Because
they're I will say that they're fairly close together. They're not too far apart.
But I would have to guess that these are all going to probably be like in the 5s. I can't imagine that these are like, high hitting movies that people are watching Roar and being like, 7, 8 stars. This is fantastic. And then Day of the Animals, it kind of sounds kind of cheesy, maybe unintentionally. And then Wild Beast. Maybe that one's like more intense. You said that was actually pretty enjoyable, except for the seizing lion or tiger, and then the rats. Like I said, I have not seen any of these movies. I definitely haven't seen Roar, but from my knowledge, like Roar doesn't really even have that great of a storyline, right? Like it kind of just is fucking watching people get mauled the whole time.
Yeah,
and like you kind of understand that like they're they live out here with them, and they're originally from Chicago. Like you kind of just like it's like okay, but they're not like on some adventure of a lifetime and they get caught in this world. This nothing like that. So I think because of that, and then because of just how fucking ridiculous everything is and how unnecessary everything is in this movie, I'm gonna say that this one might be the lowest. And then I'm going to say that the Leslie Nielsen Day of the Animals is second. And then that would leave Wild Beast at number 1, the top rank.
Okay. This is, I think, since we've been doing this show, this is probably the most wrong you've been on one of these rankings.
I'm glad that you keep track of my most wrongness.
Well, usually you get like I don't know.
Did I get like the rating even like as far as like the range wrong too?
No, that was pretty accurate. Yes.
Okay,
So
thank you. I want to make sure I got at least something on record as being as being close.
the top rated one at the time of recording, based on the star rating on IMDb, is Roar with a 6.1.
Okay, well, see, I was going off of like right now. I'm on IMDb of like 9 accounts just downloading it, so I was going off of that.
Oh shit! Sorry,
Yeah, so
I didn't take that into account.
So at time of Thomas writing the facts down is what he's actually saying, not necessarily time of recording.
Right before we recorded.
So Roar is number one. So why do you think Roar's number one? Did you think just Roar's number one because people are just like, this is nuts?
I think it's number one probably because I would assume
The other two suck.
I would
or just haven't been
I would
seen.
assume,
I see.
I was going to say, I assume
logic.
Roar
Yeah.
has probably been watched more times. I think it has.
Yeah.
I think Roar has kind of like a cult following situation because people are just fascinated by how it's done, and so they might rate it higher just because
or even just rate it at all. Yeah, I mean, I think that they just give it a rating, whereas the other ones are actually like more legit films, so the ratings are going to be more. They come from a place of more like criticism or like actual critique of the film, whereas like Roar, just like there are people just giving it a rating because it's crazy. Like that was nuts to see, 6 stars.
Yeah,
yeah. Okay, I should have really thought that one through. Yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
Roar definitely has the feel of like one of the like an Alamo Draft House rowdy screening type of film.
Yeah. It's like a grindhouse animal movie.
Yeah. Definitely worth checking out at least the trailer for anybody who's maybe apprehensive about watching the whole movie. You get the gist. Just watch the trailer. That's pretty much.
Yeah.
It's just that for 95 minutes. So that is the top rated again with a 6.1. Second place is The Wild Beasts with a 5.5. And then finally is Dave the Animals with a 5.3.
Shirtless Leslie Nielsen needs a better rating than that. Come on.
Yes, he goes on fantastic, bizarre rants and raving monologues.
That could be it too. I mean, so yeah, I can definitely see how I got this one totally wrong. I really didn't think this one through, because a lot of those films that have sort of a forced underlying message about protecting nature or whatever, they do kind of miss the mark on the quality of the actual plot. So you can lose people pretty easily with the story if you're trying to force feed them that, don't pollute or whatever. Mm-hmm. Not that that's a bad message. I just think that a lot of those films, they kind of get lost in the weeds in that stuff and they don't focus on an actual story. Okay, mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll give myself that one. I understand now why I got that one wrong, sir.
Oh, you're forgiven.
Oh, thank you.
Don't worry, pal. You'll get it next time.
I hope so. Maybe.
And with that, we are. If you are down for it, we can move right along to the quote
time. We got a workshop that we actually say the same thing every week.
Not at all.
Okay. Yeah, this is my favorite part. I think is the quote because this one's all just for fun, and I get to see and hear along with the listeners. You do some kind of character to a quote pulled from one of these 3 movies from IMDb without any context and without sometimes any fact checking that it's actually a quote from the movie.
That's true.
So yeah, I'm ready.
We always just blindly assume that it is an actual quote.
IMDb is the Wikipedia of movies, as we all know this. Everyone can submit any information except for us two. Yes. And apparently it can just be anything at all. So bring me the quote and the character of your choosing.
Your quote from IMDb for one of the 3 films reads as follows, and I quote, "God sent a plague down on us because we're just a bunch of no good fellers."
Okay. One more time.
God sent a plague down on us because we're just a bunch of no good fellers.
I can't imagine that that's the Zoo PCP movie. I feel like that almost has to be Day of the Animals, and it's sort of in reference to destroying the ozone layer and being like, this is you reap what you sow, sort of, is what this guy is saying, but in his own dialect and his own colloquialisms, So I'm going to go with Day of the Animals.
You are correct.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think I do. I can't. I'm trying to remember. I don't think I've missed too many of the quotes since we've started quote time.
I don't think so either.
Yeah,
Quote time.
So it tells you that I have more of a writing background than it does than me having a titling titling background. I suck at titles. Okay,
Yes.
Awesome. Quote time is over. I'm still stuck on the idea of a John Hughes Wildcat adventure. I've been stuck on this the whole time. I want to know if we were to remake Roar, because I think all bad movies deserve a remake. I think the flaw with Hollywood is that we remake good movies. I think all bad movies should immediately, after like 20, 30 years, let's do them again. Let's just give it another try. And if it fails the second time, then we know to never do this ever again. But maybe the first time was just like the wrong cast or like the wrong director, the times weren't right, whatever. So let's say we're going to redo Roar. But for some reason, the producer wants us to do it in the style of John Hughes. Just so that way they can use these people from Chicago for whatever reason. I'm trying to actually think, was The Great Outdoors a John Hughes movie?
The Great Outdoors.
John Candy, Dan Aykroyd. They go to like the big cabin, and 'cause there's a bear attack in that.
I think it is. Let me double check though. Yeah. It is.
Awesome. Okay, so right there, so we have our pool right there. So this could very well be in the wheelhouse of John Hughes, where and also just for clarification, because I haven't seen the whole movie of Roar. Roar. In the synopsis, you said that a naturalist living with big cats is expecting his family of 4 to come in from Chicago. Yes. So, is this family of 4 like his wife and children, or is this extended family like coming in for just like a family reunion type visit?
That's a good question.
Because to me, how it reads in the synopsis is it sounds like this is the dad of a family, and for some reason dad left to just go live with cats, and the family is like, well, we still love him, and I don't want to divorce him. So every holiday we go to Africa to just deal with Dad's weirdness for a weekend, and we have to just deal with cats the whole time.
I'm trying to remember if it was like Tippi Hedren's character's brother or something. If it's something
that's what
like
it feels
that,
like.
He's
it feels like it's supposed to be like not a distant relative, but like definitely not like like a nuclear family that's split up because of one guy's love for big cats. But that's what I want to do, though. That's the John Hughes version, I think.
It is a John Candy with the cats.
Well, I think that the dad, it was he kind of had a breaking point or like a midlife crisis, and he had just had enough with his 9-to-5 job, schlubbing it back and forth in commuter traffic downtown Chicago every freaking time it snowed. It was just so cold. And he just hates every day for like 30 years of his life. And like one day, maybe he saw a billboard, O'Hare suddenly had like nonstop flights to Cape Town, somewhere in Africa. I don't know, wherever the lions are in Africa, because I clearly don't know my geography either.
Synopsis says specifically in East Africa.
Okay, so like the Sudan, maybe Congo. Is that the East Africa? Anyway, somewhere over there. Yes. I don't know what big cities over there that O'Hare would have a direct flight to, but let's say that there is one.
A direct flight to the Congo.
That's what I'm saying. Like he sees a billboard where it's like, how sometimes airports will be like, now serving direct flights to, and they'll have like a destination, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, it's fucking like, it's like, minus 20 before the wind chill, and there's like a blizzard coming in Chicago, and this guy's like, he's like in his 50s, and he's done this every fucking day of his life, right? To raise these kids of his that just he comes home and the house is a mess, and they just anyway, he's just done with it, and he sees this billboard. He's like, that's it. So
John
then,
Candy's.
oh great, do your John Candy for me. Which, by the way, so far was. I don't know if the audible shake was in there of just shaking your shoulders when you go but that was John Candy. So he sees the billboard and he goes and then he just kind of grips the steering wheel at like 11-1, really tight again. And
he's like Elmer Fudd or something.
He has no speaking lines the whole film. It's just grunts and audible noises. But I think that he immediately he pulls a Yui out of the commuter traffic going to work in the morning, gets out, takes the next exit, goes right back home, and his family, his kids are off on like a snow day, and his wife doesn't work. And so,
hey family, how about we move to Africa?
No, I don't even think he invites them. No, I really think he's done with everything.
We got 2 cats. How much different could it be?
So I think that he comes home, and the house is always a mess. And every day that he comes back, he always has to pick up shoes and pick up toys, and the dog has to go for a walk and stuff like that.
Some shit, pet shit,
just everywhere. The house is just a trash heap. So he comes back to work after pulling this U-turn, and the family's
busted. It's fucking cold in the house.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Their jackets.
And the family's just laying around, not doing anything, right? And they could be cleaning up. Is what he's seeing. He's like, you guys are home, not doing anything. You guys could be cleaning. He doesn't say this because he just goes when he walks in. But he starts packing a bag, and I think that's when his wife, who was played by who?
Barbra Streisand.
Okay, perfect. No, that's amazing. Yes, Barbra Streisand. So Barbra Streisand sees him walk in. She's like, "Honey, why are you doing home? Something happened? Did your car break down?" She's asking all these questions, and he's just ignoring her. He just goes straight upstairs to the room and just grabs a suitcase and just starts shoving random, clothes. He's not even looking or folding them. He's just shoving them in. And that's when she asks, what's going on? Where are you going? And maybe he just says the cats are calling. Yeah, sorry. No, you're right. I'm sorry. I can't give him lines. He just has to go.
Just shrugs.
Or maybe she has a leopard print robe, and he just
what
grabs
was that
it.
Line you were saying? He was about to say the cats are calling.
The cats are calling. That's what I was going to say. That's what I said. Yeah, the cats are calling. That's just one line in the whole movie. The cats are calling, and she's like, "What do you mean the cats are calling?" And she's following around the house. He's just grabbing stuff. But maybe he doesn't say that. Maybe he just
This is written by John Hughes. John Hughes wrote the line. The cats are calling.
No. I didn't say it was written by John Hughes. I never claimed. I said we're redoing this movie in the modern era.
Oh, in the style.
Somehow John Candy is still alive, and we're doing it in the style of John Hughes.
So it's 80-year-old.
Who would be John Candy?
80-year-old John Candy.
Okay, maybe it's not Barbra Streisand either. But who would be the John Candy of today? Is there a John Candy of today?
I don't know, Jack Black or something?
No, I don't know. Is he too... I don't think Jack Black can play the... I don't know, maybe. I was like John Candy had that quality to him to where he could play both the lovable guy, but also he could play the guy who was fed up with stuff. With John Candy could do all of that and be relatable and likable. Can Jack Black do that? Maybe he can. Maybe this is Jack Black's role of a lifetime that he can stretch his...
I think Bernie sold me on. I think Jack Black
no,
can
I forgot it.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Yeah, I forgot about Bernie. Yeah.
Yes.
You're totally right. Okay, yeah. So Jack Black is in. So it's Jack Black, and Jack Black's better at noises anyway. So it's is your Jack Black just a higher pitched John Candy?
Yeah,
is that what it is? Okay, all right. So, but I think maybe instead of saying the best line ever written, which is "the cats are calling." I think he just like takes like maybe his wife, modern day Barbara Streisand. He takes like she has like a leopard print robe, and he just takes it and just like holds it in front of her face and like stretches it, just like like that. And she's really confused.
Why is he like a Looney Tune character?
Well, because I think this is just the opening. I think this is part of like the opening act, like the very first part of the opening act. And I think he's snapped. I think he's just snapped. Well, I think he does. Maybe he says that like right before he leaves the house and closes the door. Right. So until now, we've only seen him at the office, in the car, in the commute, coming home to a house that's just, chaos, in bed, unsatisfied. We've seen him in all these, horrible situations, and he can just vocalize his anger and his frustration and his disappointment in life. That's all he can do. It's just ah. And then I think like his wife's been following him around as he's like throwing random shit into this big suitcase. And she finally like puts her foot down, like right as he's like grabbing his coat and putting his scarf on. And she's like, "Where are you going?" And he just like opens the door, looks outside, looks back in, and just says, "The cats are calling," closes the door. That's the end of the opening. And then we get that montage of the airplane, the airplane.
Is that the cold open?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The whole thing I just described. It's all just the cold open.
Because the opening credits is the planes.
Taking off of the snowy O'Hare, flying across the ocean. You get like the map. You got like the map with like the little CG airplane flying over, and then it's the airplane landing, and it's a much smaller airplane for some reason. Nonstop all the way. they somehow did this trip in a really small air because no one's going. No one's going that far. But and then you see it land in what's now southern hemisphere, so it's very hot. And Jack Black's character didn't think this through, and he just packed all of his winter clothes, right? And he's wearing something very warm and layered. So he gets there and he just has to it's so hot he just abandons his clothing at the airport. He doesn't go nude. I'm just saying he I don't need what's in the suitcase because I didn't bring anything that's going to help me. And then from there we pick up on his lifestyle with big cats. And I say we got to nix the idea of them getting mauled. But fast forward, and this is where we get right. I'm going to wrap this up here. This is where we get right into like the first act. Is fast forward we get like a 6 months later, the title on the bottom. And we go back to Chicago, and his family's worried. They have like missing persons photos up. The cops are coming over still for some reason, taking, photographs of stuff, just trying to figure out where he's gone to, right? And all of a sudden, like, the postman comes up and drops in, like, the mail or whatever, it's like the mail slot, and on there's a postcard, and it's from Africa. And on the back, it says, it kind of explains, sorry I left, my life was crashing or whatever. I had a mental breakdown, but I had to go to where the cats are. You've got to come experience this. And she just like faints. And and then the next thing we see is them going to O'Hare, and that's where the story takes off.
What's with him and I have to be where the cats are.
To be where the cats are. No, the cats are calling. That's what it was. It was the cats are calling. That was the famous line. Yeah. The cats are calling. That's my John Hughes version of the cold open of the remake of Roar that is done with Jack Black. And okay, so no, because we have to replace her too. So what would be a modern day equivalent of that actor type, a Streisand type? Is there a modern day Kristen Wiig? No, that's too funny. She's too comedic.
What about like Jamie Lee Curtis?
Okay, I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. Okay, I'm in. Jack Black and Jamie Lee Curtis, and then they have
classic couple.
And then they have two older teenage children. No, I even say like their children are like maybe like almost adults, and they're just still living at home, you know. And Jack Black's character he's been just fucking taking care of this whole family. That just uses him, and he just breaks. And that's why the whole cold open, he just goes he just makes noises because he just can't vocalize anything but frustration and disappointment. And then until he finally just answers the cats are calling. Because I kind of picture like the billboard that he sees is like, you know, maybe the billboard even says like it's a picture of like the savannah, and it has like, you know, like a lion in like the bush or whatever, you know, and like the sun's like the Serengeti sunset type thing, you know, and it says O'Hare, direct flights to Africa, the cats are calling. That's all it says. And so he just answers her with that. The cats are calling. He just slams the door. That's what it is. Okay. I think we write that tomorrow.
That's what the tourism board of Africa, that's the best like, tagline that they could conceive is the cats are calling.
Yeah. And like for some reason they get notified whenever someone buys that ticket, and you know, they haven't had anyone buy those tickets at all because
we sold another one.
We finally sold one, is what they say. But then he, of course, drives up the tourism trade.
It's just the opening credits are like the plane taking off from O'Hare, like lifting off the runway, and it goes to the shot inside of it. It's a completely empty plane with Jack Black in one seat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, and the funny thing is that he's in one seat, like middle back, like kind of like one of the worst seats you got. Yeah. Not even a window seat, by the way. It's like an aisle seat or even a center seat. And the shot continues from there. It cuts to looking down the aisle towards the front, and the flight attendant is coming down with the snack cart, but she's still starting at the far end, and just like still going through her routine of like stopping at every, you know, thing. And maybe we even see her do like the pre-flight safety, you know, spiel or whatever, and she's like, you know, 30 feet away from him down like the middle of the plane, and he's like, you know, you can barely hear her because she's just like, you put your seatbelt in like this, you know, and then you unbuckle it like this and pull the mask down, you know. He's just like, you know, what? Like what? Yeah, I like that. Yep. And then maybe he even so like the snack cart gets to him, just to end this little scene on the airplane. The snack cart gets to him. And of course, his misfortune is still, you know, following him. He hasn't met the catch yet, so he's still his miserable self. But the snack cart gets to him, and he's like, I'll just take peanuts, you know. And then the attendant says, we don't have peanuts on this flight. Someone might have an allergy. And we just like look around, and he's the only fucking person on this plane.
You just have 80 more minutes of the movie to go.
No, the rest of it is just them living with cats. It's exactly Roar without so much of the violent acts. Yeah, that's all it is. Eventually, the family comes over from Chicago, and the local tourism trade. They're happy. Like the lower, you know, they see 4 more tickets are sold. Great, you know. I think it has to be his wife, 2 kids, and maybe his mother-in-law. And his mother-in-law is Barbara Streisand.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There you go. And they all go to Africa to be with the cats, to see Frank, even though he lost it. And they see how happy he is. He's using full sentences now. You know, he's really excited to see them.
Wow, Dad, we haven't heard you speak in like 4 years.
Dad, that's what you sound like? Yeah. And I think the arc of the story is that they're trying to convince him to come back to Chicago and be a normal, civilized human being. And he's trying to convince them that this is where he belongs, and he's happier here. And I think the end of the film, they all realize that they're do they realize that they're senile, or do they realize that they're happy? I don't know. We can write both endings and decide from there.
Yeah,
I like that. That feels sort of John Hughes-ish, right? A little bit.
And this is just it's just called Roar though.
Oh no,
It's
yeah,
just a remake?
it's exact. We even market it as a remake because the idea was that the original was so poorly done that there's no reason to try to even build off the original marketing. As far as like a sequel or whatever. Yeah, it's just a pure rewriting history remake of Roar. Yep.
And I can see the first teaser trailer now where it shows little snippets of the original Roar. And it says on the screen, like, in 1981, the most dangerous movie ever filmed was released, and blah 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 blah, and like it gives you facts about like this actor
7
got
years in
attacked by
production,
this, and then
120 stitches,
and then in 2024 on a black screen, and then it cuts to Jack Black just sitting on an empty plane.
No, I think it cuts to him in the stuck in commuter traffic, and he's like all bundled up and cold, and all we see is him just go. He just does his little shake and just like a frustration, and that's it. And then they use the same voice that says "roar" in the original trailer for this one. Roar. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Which our listeners have heard like 50 times.
I think everyone has cirrhosis if they've drank every single time they've heard that. Okay.
Yes.
What was that called again?